Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Yeah.
Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. I can make it round the world when it holds in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. 250 flavors. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. The popcorn world.
There might be less football being played, but BetOnline has way more stuff to bet on this playoff season. From score totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the number one spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. Hey y'all, it's your boy Lloyd Spence, and with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BLEAV, B-L-E-A-V, to get started. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best of the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your number one online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite game. BetOnline, where the game starts. And tell them the noisemaker said.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer, Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course, Mama Noise's name, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
Good morning, everybody. This is BLEAV in the ACC, and we have a very, very special show for you today. That is Kendrick Haskins. I'm Lloyd Spence, and that is those initials, RV. When you say those initials in Louisville, Kentucky, everybody knows what you mean. You don't have to go any further than that. You don't have to talk about what that means. We all know that's Robbie Valentine right there. So shout out to one of the GOATs of Louisville basketball. What's going on, Mr. Valentine? How you feeling this morning?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you. How you guys doing, man?
We are good, man. We are good. It is a pleasure to have you this morning. Thank you for getting up with us, especially I know it's cold here in Texas. I don't know how cold it is there, but it's pretty cold here. So thank you for getting up in all this crazy weather and doing this with us this morning.
You're always welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, man, I want to start right at the end and work my way back. Did you, or let me say it this way, have you ever seen your beloved Cardinals at this place in its basketball, I guess, history? Like it feels like a very weird place in time for Louisville basketball. What are your thoughts on that?
It's as a former player, it's a tough time in a lot of ways, from the fan perspective, the boosters, current kids. I mean, it's tough to swallow with all the, I guess in some cases you can call it drama. As much as I love Louisville, as much as I love the city, every day it just seems like there's something, some type of ink that people are reading in a negative way about the university athletic department, and hopefully, things will get better in a positive way.
When you guys the legends and the veterans discuss, I'm sure you guys discuss. There's probably an amazing group chat going on as we speak. But when you guys discuss it, what do you talk about? Is this what are your reasons as to why you think this is happening?
Well, when you have lack of institutional control, you're going to have this problem. I mean, it all starts from the top, and it just comes down. And the hiring process of coaches, and you have people that are in positions with no experience. It's a lot of very just tough things that go on. And yes, myself and Scooter and Wiley and Mild and Billy Thompson's always online with us, and Purvis, and we talk every day, but there's 3 or 4 of us that talk 5 or 6 times a day. Wade Houston and myself and Scooter, we've been doing lunch for years, a couple of times a week. So you get the coach perspective, you get the veteran and Scooter perspective, and we sit around the table, man, and then I talk as well, and so it's just one of those things, man, that you just gotta kind of like, is this really happening?
Well, Robbie, it's interesting because I think we're all hearing kind of that frustration, man. Do you think this is because of the disconnect that we've seen? Oh, I lost him. There he is. Okay. Do you think this is a lot?
Can hear me or not?
Yeah, we got you. We can hear us. Uh-oh, did we lose him? Robbie, can you hear us?
Banner day with connections today.
I know we're having challenges today with connections. There's Mr. Charlie Ward pulling up. There you go.
Can you guys
hear us, Robbie? Yeah, we can hear you.
Robbie, you hear it?
We can hear you. Can you hear us? I don't think he can hear us.
Can Charlie?
Let's see if we can. I can hear him. Oh, he probably gonna log back on. I think he got a phone call. I think when you get that iPhone phone call, it'll knock you off sometime. Man, you can hear the frustration in his voice though.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ongoing thing, and it's been an ongoing UofL really back with Patino. I mean, it's been a good 10 years of like, you never know what's going to come out of that, especially the back. Yeah, it's been a strange right now.
Yeah. Robbie, can you hear us now? Are we good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Not a problem. Appreciate you, man. So I was asking because I said we can definitely hear that frustration. It feels like this is not a new problem, though. It feels like this is something that has kind of been going on for a while. Would you agree with that, or?
Yeah, it's been 4 or 5 years that I guess the frustration's been longer than that, and I guess more the players that I'm probably the connector with all the University of Louisville basketball players. Everybody kind of goes through me because I've been here the longest, and
right.
So I get a chance to talk to the young veterans, and I get to talk to the legends, and so it's It's always been tough because for years, you in some ways you felt like you wasn't a part of it. Since I've been at the Yum Center 12 years, I've kind of like directly been involved, and all the coaches has been there since I've been working there. But it's frustrating, in a lot of ways. But like anything else, man, when you win, you can't find a problem out there.
Right,
But
right.
when you losing, boy, I mean the dog comes out,
Right.
and that's a fact. You can find a pebble each and every day to make the team and the staff look bad. But just over the last several years, it's been tough, man.
I want to ask, how much do you think a better connection with the veterans, or as you said, the legends, would help kind of bridge the gap of understanding Louisville basketball? Because one thing that to me, I don't want it to come across as complete shade, but it's reality. One of the things that was missing to me in the Chris Mack hire was the understanding, the true understanding of the connectivity of Louisville stylistically basketball. Like it was such a different departure from what we've traditionally seen all the way back to even Daryl's days. I mean, it was so different. And I think that was the beginning of the overall disconnect. But how much do you think that disconnect of the history of it has played into part to the bigger picture, or has it played into the bigger picture?
100%. As you see, every program now today, your top programs, and one thing about Louisville, and I feel like this is where we are right now. Now, if you think about these schools in the 80s, they were a top 25 school every year.
Right.
UNLV, Duke, UNLV, DePaul, St. Louis, Houston. If you think about those urban LaSalle, you think about all those schools in the 80s that were always in the top 25 that are gone. They disappeared. You don't even hear about them anymore. And Louisville's right there with them right now. It's urban, and urban universities. If you look at the top 25 right now, you don't find any of those top schools around anymore. And that's where we are. And even though Houston's a top 25 school, nobody talks about them like they talked about them when Olajuwon and all those great players that were there. And so one of the things that Scooter, Wade, and myself, we talk about all the time is if we don't fix this quick, we're going to be a top 25 school one day and nobody really takes us serious. When Louisville back in the 80s, early 90s, when that damn bus pulled up to the hotel, the opponent team was nervous, And when in the 80s, if we didn't win by 20, 25 points, that's a disappointment. And, even at the Yum Center, you see these teams come in that's mediocre. They look at us like, we're going to get you guys tonight. And if they don't beat us by 20, they're disappointed. And so if we don't get coaches like what Michigan's done, what North Carolina's done, I can't say Memphis because Penny's doing not a great job there. But when you look at the veteran players that have become head coaches, their prospective universities, to fix our problem, one of my best friends is in New York. Kenny Payne will fix this, and he'll fix it fast. Because his network out there is very strong. And so we got to get a guy that knows Louisville, that has a feel of Louisville, and then your fan base. We got to get our fan base to feel good waking up every day. For several years, for many, many years, UK fans woke up and they were worried about Louisville. We got a brand new arena. We're playing as a top 10 team every year. We're going to Final Fours. And right now, the state of Kentucky is not talking about Louisville right now. And for someone that loves Louisville as much as I do, I love Louisville. I love the University of Louisville. it's everywhere you go, man. There's no positive conversation about this place that I played and went to school, and that hurts like hell. So, I know you're going to ask the question later, but yeah, Kenny Payne's our guy, and I'm not going to be happy if it's not our guy. He checks every box, and trust me, if I have not talked to over 700 people that put big money in Louisville athletics, I'm a bad guy. I've talked to everybody since last Monday that has something to do with the University of Louisville, sponsorships, whatever. I've been talking to him, and I'm gonna continue to say his name, loud, proud, and happy, because he will fix this negative conversation that's going on our campus.
Is Kenny our Juwan Howard? Is that I get the sense that's kind of how you feel. Like Juwan is kind of restored, if for lack of a better word, restored Michigan basketball to a lot of people. Is that what you think Kenny is to Louisville?
My personal view, absolutely. Yeah. And the one thing about Kenny, forget the coaching. One thing about Kenny is the character, the high character that he has, the smile, very, very, very smart. He brings the energy that we need in Louisville. His presence is very strong. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If Calipari left the University of Kentucky, they will hire Kenny tomorrow. And because that's what he's done for the University of Kentucky. And I know what he'll do at Louisville. So that's where I'm at with that young man. And he played on my team. I know what kind of player he is. I know what kind of person he is. And I'm going to tell you, when he came to visit the University of Louisville when he was 17 years old, he's the same person, 30 years later. And he's just he's somebody that will restore what we need at the University of Louisville.
Wow. A glowing endorsement, a more than glowing endorsement. Go ahead.
I mean, that's been the feeling around here, and and Robbie, I'm sure you've probably talked to KP, and we all know people that know KP. He's been definitely interested in the job for a while. Can you go where it doesn't? I guess ready to be made possible.
Ask it again, Ken, because you kind of broke up a little bit. Ask it one more time.
But what scenario happened for him not?
Okay, I think it broke up again, but I think he's asking what would be the scenario where he wouldn't. If I'm hearing you right, Kendrick, what would be the scenario where he wouldn't get this opportunity in your mind?
If he doesn't want it, that's the only way.
Okay.
But at the same time, trust me, I'll talk to every former player that's ever played at the University of Louisville, including the first African American that played at Louisville, and Wade Houston. Kenny speaks well, he talks well, and he's smart. There's no way he can fail an interview. Okay, so at the end of the day, and you know what? Here's the thing. Call me whatever you want to call me. It's time for Louisville. I don't care if Kenny was black, white, Italian, Latino, but since he's African American, he'll be the first African American coach at the University of Louisville. And think about this: Wade Houston recruited him, first African American player at the University of Louisville, and Kenny could be the very first African American coach at the University of Louisville. And as I told one of the executives at the University of Louisville the other day, when Obama was elected president of the United States, I couldn't believe it, but it did happen, and the tears that went down my face was unbelievable cheer. Kenny Payne gets his job. the same tears are going to go down my face, man. A brother, a champion that I played with, and have an opportunity to stand on the sidelines of the University of Louisville. I'm going to tell you something, man. It would, you talk about grace. Louisville needs that. And Kenny will change the character and the environment. And I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of people who don't want Kenny to get the job because they know he will be successful. We know the people that's out there ready to throw spears and darts at his forehead. But that's okay. The support system he has it with us, they can speak all they want, man. Again, when you're losing, they can find problems. When you're winning, they don't look for problems. So there's going to be some people that's going to do everything in their power to make sure that man is not a coach at the University of Louisville. Our job as brothers of him is to make sure that we protect him in that whole process. And we're ready to, we're ready to do that. And he's I'm gonna tell you, man, I know a lot of beautiful men out there, and he's one of them.
Wow.
He is just a beautiful soul, and you will never find anything dirty on Kenny Payne. Never. High character, honest, good man, walks with pride, and I'm gonna tell you, $1 million smile.
Wow. You
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, you remind me of another guy who talks about his university the same way. That would be Mr. Charlie Ward over here, because he's always saying that continuity of understanding Florida State, just really truly understanding all of the dots and connecting them. He talks about it all the time. So I'm hearing what you're saying, and I ain't gonna lie, you got me fired up over here. I'm like, man, why ain't we hiring Kenny Payne? I like what you said, bro. There's a question in the chat here. Somebody said, is there any chance that Kenny would come in and keep Pegues? And I will say this, I do like the young brother. He's young though. He's very young, and I think he is learning Louisville. I've watched what he does. I like what he does. I don't know if it's what we ultimately need, because I think they're still going to, if we were to hire him outright, I think it would still be that gap. Not because he doesn't care or he doesn't connect to the history, but he wouldn't connect like Kenny would. Like Kenny gets it all the way across the board. He lives it. Whereas Mike is kind of, he's growing in it. But would there be any chance you think Kenny would keep him, or Kenny going to kind of do his own thing?
Well, my personal view, when you're starting all over, you got to start all over.
Okay.
And coaching is different than it used to be, man. You could, in the past, you could put some people on your staff that you can trust right off the bat. Today, the most important thing is your 4 or 5 top people that you're with, 16 hours out of the day. You have to be able to trust them. You have to trust your assistants, man. And I knowing Kenny like I know Kenny, he's been in the game a long time. And the best part about being an assistant coach, the head coach has to trust you. And Kenny was trusted in Lexington for over 10 years.
Yeah.
Kenny's got to have a staff that he trusts, because there's been so many negative things that happened here over the last several years that he's got to have somebody, if he gets this opportunity.
I think you got that call again.
Heather,
there you go.
call Brooke and tell him I'm on a podcast.
He'll come back here in just a second. He was answering. Yeah, oh, you're great now. You guys are getting there now. He was answering the question that was in the chat about, was there any chance that he would keep Pegues? Is it Pegues? Am I saying that right? Pegues. Okay. That he would keep Pegues on his staff. And he was very candid. He said, probably not. Probably not. Because there's a trust factor that has to go forward in that. So I thought that was interesting that he said that. I will ask this question because I'm really, really curious. Robbie, do you see a certain Mr. Valentine maybe joining that staff if asked?
You know, since I know Louisville the way that I love Louisville, of course, but I think I can do Kenny a better allegiance being outside his program and helping him as a brother than being on his staff.
Gotcha.
Okay. And my thing is, I will be a part of his staff, but I won't be paid because I know Louisville better than just about anybody when it comes to protecting what we have in our program as far as basketball is concerned. But, you know, I wouldn't want to be that. I know there's some former players that would probably have a great opportunity if this happens. But, you know, for me, I've done that. And, you know, coaching 17 and a half, 18, 19-year-old kids, man, that's not my thing, man. Shit, I have 4 kids and 6 grandkids, and I don't want no part of that stuff, man. Because, you know, I put too much into it. You know, I've been doing basketball camps for 30 years.
Right.
For, you know, you have a camp for a week and you got 5 kids. You know, you got 5 to 16-year-old kids there, man, and I there's no way in hell I could do that. Because I have too much passion, and you know, if a kid disrespects me, man, I'd be fired. You get to a point where, you know the old school stuff, man. You put them against the wall, and it's like, hey, oh hell no, you're not going to talk to me like that. You know, and the kids today, they need this. They need the mental discipline because there's so many. And I'm going to tell you this also. When you get a 15-and-a-half-year-old kid that's gone through 2 years of COVID, being a freshman at your program,
yeah.
Hell no. People don't understand. COVID has messed people up. It messed all of us up as adults. But can you imagine what a 15, 16-year-old kid has gone through? And then they're going to enter the University of Louisville. They missed 2 years of school, and they're going on to college.
Yeah.
It's a different kid. And the one thing, change the subject, but the one thing that's going on more and more today with 13 to 15-year-old boys and girls, they're killing themselves, man.
Mm.
The suicide rate of 13 to 15-year-old is through the roof.
Yeah.
And that's what COVID has done. And I think that Chris Mack might have been a different coach if he'd gone through, you know, not have to deal with the COVID aspect over the last year or two.
Yeah.
You know, COVID's not gonna help Penny Hardaway though, man. He's got problems. Man, I can't even watch it, man. That game's on TV, man. You turn it so fast, man. It's bad.
Wow. Charlie's got a question. He's trying to connect with us. The weather, I think, is making us have some connection issues. But he got a great question. He said, "Who's in the room making decisions on his behalf, on Kenny's behalf, and does not having an athletic director and the president, is that a cause for concern?"
Josh Hurd is going to make the decision. He's going to have a couple people that's going to be an advisory board. He's got the University of Louisville Athletic Board that will be making the final decision. But I met with Josh several times. I really, really like him as an interim. Very, very competent, very smart. He would do a thorough search, interview 2, 3, 4 people. I've worked beside of him for years at the Yum Center when he was an executive at the University of Louisville. Not only do I like him, I trust him. And so, you know, would I say that one thing about Kenny, if there's 10 boxes you have to check, he has 11, and all of them are checked. There's a box checked on Kenny, and as I told you, his connectivity, as you talked about, is very strong. But you know what Kenny said to me yesterday when I talked to him, he said, Robbie, you are the connection between all the players. And that's true, because the Kennys, the Donovan Mitchells, even Rondo, when they need something, they'll call me. Rondo called me 2 weeks ago, cold as hell in Cleveland, game day. Robbie, I need 8 tickets for my family for the Harlem Globetrotters. And so it's just one of those things that I think they respect me, because I've always been an honest person with all the fellas, man. But Josh, I trust him. I trust him very well. I mean, I've met with him several times now, and second down the job, we had a strong conversation, and if he gets the job, he will be a hell of an AD at Louisville. I mean, a hell of an AD.
Because he's energetic. He knocked the press conference out of the park after Chris Mack was let go, or the mutual parting of ways is what they're calling it. He knocked that interview out of the park. He's young. He's energetic. I think I agree with you, Robbie. I think he'll be a perfect fit for the University of Louisville.
And you know what? Here's the thing about Josh. Here's the thing about Kenny. As the interim AD, that's Josh's first press conference in his life. Okay?
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So if Kenny comes in as a head coach, that would be his first press conference as a head coach. And if you think back, Wade Houston was the first black basketball player at the University of Louisville. He was the first black coach, if I'm not mistaken, at the University of Tennessee. And so you look at the history of all of this, it's starting to get real when it comes to Kenny. It's real because there's a lot of history to this. And that's where we got to make this happen, man. And right now, let's say we have 20 athletic teams at the University of Louisville. There's one black coach, and it's a tennis coach. Again, we're talking about an urban university, guys. And the urban universities are ones that struggle with African-American men and women coaches. And that's got to change. University of Kentucky's had a black coach in basketball and Tubby. They ran them off. But black coaches. Hey, Indiana's had 3 black coaches. All places, man. Indiana University had 3 black coaches. Samson's black because he's got some allegations of cheating. So you got to count him in there too. But when you look at the urban universities, they slack in hiring African American coaches.
You know what's funny? We go through this business every day and we're doing our thing and we never stop to think about that. And today is literally the first day I'm like, that is true. Indiana and Kentucky are both out. But you're right. It's interesting because we're at a moment in time where obviously with the breaking news of Brian Flores, this is a really important conversation as to why we're not hiring, if you will, more African Americans in a sport that is dominated primarily by African Americans. So what is the problem? What is the disconnect? And why is it taking so many people so long to get on board with the concept of having a black coach?
It's not talked about, man. I mean, look at Miami's Dolphins coach that's suing the NFL right now. I mean, when an owner walks up to you and say, "I'll give you $100,000 a game to cheat,
to lose," right?
Yeah.
Hey, man. But here's the thing. A lot of brothers, man, like it or not, they don't want to be head coaches. They don't. And the reason why they don't is if they somehow do not become successful after those 3, 4, 5 years, they're not getting back in the game.
Yeah, you get one
But
shot.
a lot of the white coaches, they fell and they're right back on the bench somewhere, and that's the truth. I mean, Danny Manning's the only person I know that just walks into things that happen. He had 4 bad years at Wake Forest. Next thing you know, he's a head coach in Maryland. I mean,
Danny's a pioneer.
Right.
Yeah, man.
Right.
He walks into good things every time for him. He knows a white head coach is going to leave after he sits on the bench. but it's hard out there, man. And even when Wade Houston was a head coach, there was only, when John Thompson was a head coach, there was only 4 black coaches in all of Division I.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Chaney, Coach Thompson,
Clem.
I can't think of the other one.
It was Clem. It might have been Nolan. Was Nolan doing it at that time?
Nolan Richardson.
Yeah.
4 black coaches in all of the 80s. And then the only black coaches are getting hired are players that played at their prospective universities. So we got some work to do, but nobody talks about it. Coach Houston at one time was a president of the Black Head Coaches Association. And it wasn't Black Head Coaches Association. It was a Black Coaches Association. Very few black head coaches and a bunch of assistants. I don't even know if that exists anymore. But but it's some work that we need to work on. But first, we got to get these brothers that want to be head coaches. And all the assistant coaches right now are coming from AAU circuits.
Yeah.
You look at Louisville's interim head coach was my boy that plays for Golden State Warriors that played at Louisville. I can't think of his name right now. Damian Lee.
Damian Lee, yeah.
Mike was his head coach, and he's been he's been gone 6-7 years?
Yeah.
So he was an AAU coach 6 years ago. And the head coach is Nick Cronin, head coach at UCLA. He was an AAU coach 10 years ago when Rick Pitino brought him in. And now he's a head coach at UCLA. So it's a whole different crop of coaches today, and I'm not sure if they want to be head coaches.
Wow, that's a great perspective. Wow. Well, man, listen, it sounds like you got your mind made up. It's Kenny or bust. So
no, yeah. Hey,
no.
You know what? It stops with us. I mean, we want this. The University of Louisville needs this. The University of Louisville academic and athletic offices need a win. They need a win. There's been so many L's, man. Scandalous presidents at the University of Louisville. The current president leaves the University of Louisville. The athletic director's gone. From an academic, athletic perspective, we need a win. If you want to win, you bring in KP. I will continue to say it. I will continue to talk about it because you know what? That's my brother, and we need a win. And there's not another coach out there. I don't give a damn if it's a head coach with 15 years experience and have won 3 championships. I'm not taking them. And the people that I'm talking to every day will not accept anything but KP. Wow. And that's where I'm at with it, because we need 2 things. We need a great guy with character, and we need a brother in the story. I'm not going to go any further than that.
I don't think you need to. Robbie Valentine, thank you so much for this amazingly candid interview. We really appreciate it this morning, man. This was amazing. You got a question, Charlie?
Coach Charlie's got a question.
Yes. What's up, Robbie?
Hey,
y'all hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Charlie.
It's good to see you, brother. I watched you during your time you played. I was a little kid at the time, but I just I wanted somebody to feel like they were old, because I get that as well. But it's good to see you, and I'm just curious to know. I know you're very animated, or adamant, let's just say, about KP with the job. So what happens if they choose somebody else? Like will you guys rally around whoever that is? Because apparently, if KP's not the one, and someone chooses someone different, will you still support the guy that's there? Because when it's all said and done, you know, our universities make decisions sometimes outside of our control, but it's still our university and we have to support them. And so I was just curious to know, like, I understand and hear you loud and clear about KP. However, what if they choose someone else that's different from KP? Will you guys still rally around that guy to help him be successful?
If Kenny wants a job and they don't hire him, the University of Louisville got a problem. That's all I got to say. There will be a
well, there's a lot of
because,
people. There's a lot of organizations that have problems, as we see with, you know, the Miami Dolphins and, you know, all these other organizations that's struggling. They seem to go outside of just what we've seen, what seems like a home run. I mean, I definitely would agree with you with KP. I'm not a Louisville guy, but I do see the benefits of bringing him in and the experience that he has with all the coaches, coaching staffs, and people that he knows in that, you know, from the university. And I mean, I definitely would agree with you. However, we've seen where they just decide sometimes, hey, we're going to go in a different direction than what everybody's screaming about. But I know you guys will support whoever, just probably not as strong if it's not KP. But I hope it is.
Yeah, you know, Coach Houston, myself, and Scooter, you know, we talked about that the other day. If he interviews, it has to be him. It needs to be him. If it's not him, it's all because he does not want the job. Honestly, because his name's out there and every person has endorsed him, I think it's keeping other people from even wanting to put their name in this position. But there's no exceptions. I mean, this is his to lose. This is his to not want. And I would be very, very disappointed if he wanted it and he didn't get it. I would be very, very disappointed. And I, as I said to you guys earlier, since last Monday, if I have not spoke to 600 people, I spoke to 599. And I'm telling you, this man's support is through the roof. And I'm going to tell you how, I will say this, probably one of the most powerful men in the state of Kentucky, and I'll list three of them. Even Mitch McConnell wants Kenny as our head coach. John Yarmouth wants him as our head coach.
Hold on, those two agree on something?
Man, hey, that's the first black thing they agree on too. But you know, Kenny's getting national support. We have a guy in Washington, D.C. texting local people, telling them they want KP. The biggest pockets in the city of Louisville, wants Kenny.
So
he's the
this
only
is
one,
starting.
Warren.
I was gonna say this is starting to feel more like a fork in the road than it is a hiring decision.
It's going to be a hiring decision because Louisville has to be transparent. But at the same time, if he interviews, he checks all the boxes. That's the fact. He checks every box.
So Robbie, I know you've been talking to him. Does he want the job? Because it seems like a lot of people want him to want the job, but does he really want the job? Can you say, is it confidential? Is it behind closed doors right now? If so, I mean, I understand.
Yeah, we respect it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he interviews, he'll knock a home run.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, listen, I get it. This is an interesting time. Go ahead.
One of the things I did say is one of the things I did say is if and when he becomes the head coach, he's going to have a support system around him that will protect him in so many ways. It's going to be unbelievable. And the thing about Kenny, if he chooses and wants to be the head coach, he's going to be extremely successful. Extremely. And when you go coach at your prospective college, university, you got to build that base. You know, that's very, very important. The one thing that Kenny did at the University of Louisville, a lot of people don't know, not only was he a hell of a recruiter, but Kenny was very involved with the university. This is a guy that had a leadership program that went over to the campus and went over and introduced himself to every professor. Not only did he introduce himself to the professors, he spoke to a lot of classes, and he also mentored a lot of kids that struggled with being in school. I'm gonna tell you something, man. That's not just a coach. That's a leader. And he's going to do the same with the University of Louisville. And that's what Denny did. That's what made Denny so successful. He was so community minded that there's not a person that didn't love Denny. Joe Hall, his passing over the last 3 weeks, he was so involved in a community. And so Kenny's going to be not just a coach, he's going to be a community coach. He's going to be a community leader. And that's what we've missed over the last 15, 17 years at the University of Louisville, is a person that was very involved in the community. And so tweeting and Facebooking and Instagram, hell with that. Be the person that walks in those classrooms and say, I'm a coach for everybody. I'm not going to be just a coach for 15 kids. I'm going to be a coach for everybody. And that's what Kenny's about. He has a kid that's currently playing at the University of Kentucky. His son is on the team right now. And just think about this. If there's an NBA player that's in the NBA over the last 11 years, Kenny recruited him.
Right.
Think about that. If there's 800 players, if there's 500 players in the NBA, if anybody's under 31 years old, Kenny recruited him when he was at Kentucky. That's why also Kenny's on the board of governors in the NBA. So this guy checks all the boxes. And so if he doesn't get it, holy hell. and trust me, I love the university more than anything. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Academically, the University of Louisville has done so much for me. I was inducted in the Hall of Fame at the University of Louisville, not because I averaged 8 points a game. It's because of what I've done in the community. And a professor wrote it up and took it to the decision makers' athletic office, and they approved me to become, a Hall of Famer. So that's what Kenny has done. He's a Hall of Famer off the court. And so I'm so adamant about him. I'm so passionate about him becoming our coach that I would be very disappointed if he wasn't. I would probably have a nervous breakdown, man. we're in crisis in this damn city, man. In a lot of ways, he can. Hey, no president, no AD, and we need somebody to fill 23,000 seats in our arena. He is the guy. He is the guy. So
even the University of Kentucky, I've talked to some people over at UK, and like they're even supporting Kenny getting the job. So I mean,
wow.
Yeah. You know, shit's so bad at UofL, UK people won't even tweet bad things about us. You know it's bad.
They feel compassion. They're like, you're going through now.
Hey, they wake up every day and say, "No, I can't do that." Shit.
Right.
They look at it and say, I can't do I can't do any harm to them today. It's hell. In 2 days, something else might pop up. You know.
Wow.
But KP can fix this. He's the repairman. KP's the repairman.
Wow.
But on a positive note, though, Robbie, the roommates for today in the KFC Yum Center, they're doing pretty well. The UofL women.
Hell yeah! I talked to Coach Walls yesterday, and he they got a tough schedule coming up, man. But I'm telling you, he's you can't get him off the damn phone, man. But I'm gonna tell you, this guy, he has what he's done in 15 years at the University of Louisville is unbelievable. And when you look at the distractions at the University of Louisville, and he's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
He's still doing his thing, man. And so much love for Coach Walls, man. He's doing it. He consistently does it. He's consistently bringing in the kids. What a beautiful soul, man! All those young ladies. So he's getting it done, and you got to give him his props, man. What a great job. What a great job.
He's a favorite of the show.
Yeah.
He's not easy to play for.
No,
yeah.
Walls is not easy to play for. He gets in those. I mean, he is he's tough.
Yeah.
And so if you can play for him, you're going to be a champion. He's a tough ass coach, and I love it.
Yeah. He may benefit more than anybody from a Kenny Payne hire, because just bringing that excitement from the other side. You know, sometimes having that duality is a huge benefit on the recruiting trail for all kids, because kids just love excitement. They love the energy around programs, and if you can somehow get both sides going at the same time, it really helps the whole process. You both benefit.
Connectivity is a beast.
Yeah.
And you know, you have Milt Wagner, that had a son that played at Memphis, went on to Cleveland. Milt got a grandson that just put LeBron's son off his feet the other day. Did a crossover. LeBron's son.
I showed that on the news on Saturday.
Ankles and everything were just like whop. And Milt's grandson might be the most legit point guard that we will see probably in 20 years. I'm talking like complete, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back again. KP. Connectivity. When you think about connectivity, you got Junior Bridgman's son going to Ohio State, and where does he live? Louisville.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Yeah. KP.
Robbie, I know we gotta let you go, man. Thank you. Man, this was everything for me. I knew it was gonna be good. I didn't know it was gonna be this good. This was great, man. I sure appreciate you giving us some time today, brother.
All right. And Charlie Ward, man, you need to speak up more, man.
Well, he was having some connection issues. I'm gonna take up for him today. Yeah.
He has no problem speaking.
Yeah, he definitely got no problem speaking. We got to get you back on when we know his connection is solid. We got to.
Right. Hey, there's nothing like the Charlie Ward
humble flex. Yeah, man. He got.
Hey, Kendrick, when you gonna put the ring on it, man?
Come on, man. I'm already getting this from the Hey, when something goes on, Kendrick always gets a text from me, man. He knows. Hey, when things start to happen, man, I'm gonna let you know. But
I would say that over the next 6 weeks, we're going to have a new coach because March is very important, man. That's when those recruits start to scratch their legs a little bit, ready to decide where they're going to go. So I think things are going to start happening here in the next 5 and 6 weeks. Louisville's going to be transparent in the way they bring in this coach because the last coach, there was no transparency. So, and I'm glad that Josh is doing that. And I trust the AD with my life. I think he's a good man. And he's been very honest with us and very compassionate about how this process is going to work. And so we don't have any problems with that. I think it's Kenny's to lose. It's Kenny's if he don't want it. And everybody I talk to, man, every place I go eat dinner, every place I stop to get gas, I say his name. And he can fix Louisville. We had a lot of problems with Breonna Taylor and the protests and COVID-19. And Kenny can revive Louisville, Kentucky single-handedly. Can you imagine that smile at his first press conference at Louisville? I'm gonna tell you something, man. There's gonna be some people in tears. Kendrick, you'll be there on behalf of Wave 3 crying like a big ass baby. I guarantee you.
I'll be crying because you and the rest of your former teammates will all be elbowing me in the side the whole time.
Exactly. I'm telling you right now. That will probably be one of the best shining days that Louisville's had in a couple of years when this happens. And we need it to happen. Louisville needs a lift. We need a win. Louisville, Kentucky needs a win.
Wow.
If Texas don't change that governor, y'all got problems coming up too.
Well, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other show, Robbie. That's a whole other show. All right, brother. We'll have you back here soon, okay, bro?
All right, man. See you.
Thank you, Robbie. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Wow. Well, I'll be honest with you. I didn't expect that.
I did.
Did you really? Wow. Well, you're right in the middle of it, so you probably hearing it every day. I'm kind of disconnected being where I am, but man, it's that with everybody, with all of the old guys, like you said,
all the former players want KP. I understand why. I mean, and I think he'd be a good fit too. I do take a lot of what they say with a grain of salt because
of course,
why would you not want your brother to get that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I do think it would be a good fit. I just wonder as far as X's and O's and go and like this, this is the regular stuff that comes along with coaching. Will he bring somebody else on the bench like Juwan Howard did, like Penny did? I mean, Penny's struggling right now. I think Penny's going to be fine. I just think he's a little bit in over his head right now. But he has Larry Brown, Juwan Howard. I forget who he has on his, but he has an experienced coach on his. Is it Martell that he has on his bench?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And so I would like to see Kenny do that, which I think he would probably do. I think ideally, to be honest with you, even though I don't think it'll happen, I think ideally you bring in Kenny and Scotty Davenport.
Oh, that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be really good.
I can't see Scotty going that. Why would he do that?
Yeah. But Charlie, I like your question. I my hesitancy of asking the question because I didn't want him to cuss us out. But because he's so. I mean, they are so adamant about.
Yeah, I like Charlie's question too.
I love your question. I just don't know if they're prepared for the question.
Which one? Which question?
The one you asked where, what if it's not Kenny?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're prepared for it not to be Kenny because the reality is there may be some other coaches out there that could do it. There may be.
The reality is, I mean, honestly, if you look at, because like I said, I'm somewhat connected with social media with the fan base. They're falling in love with Mike McGeese right now. And they're falling in love with him when he's lost 2 games. So, and it's it's not his fault they lost the games. I mean, it's, but they are really starting to pull for Mike McGeese. I mean, I've gotten a lot of messages from people saying, yeah, we like Mike McGeese more than Kenny, to be honest with you. But of course, a lot of that's familiarity and it's moment stuff. But yeah, and then There's other candidates out there that I think would be great hires for Louisville. I really like Musselman at Arkansas. I think he'd be. I've been a fan of his for a while, and so I think he would be a great fit. And so there's plenty of other candidates out there I think would be great. But I mean, I fully support Kenny Payne too. And we all know Kenny a little bit,
of course.
So he would be a great hire.
What were you gonna say, Charlie?
No, I just know a lot of times, the interim guy does well for the initial, and then when it's his program,
it's a whole different thing.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
and
like Mike Davis at IU.
And then next thing you know, you're back in the hunt for a new coach because they're not as successful as they were when, and it's more so on that end as opposed to someone going on and doing great things. That does happen, but it's an outlier in a lot of ways. So, and then again, these hires, man, who's a home run? I mean, people say they're home runs, and sometimes, and most times they're not. I mean, you think about the head coaches that have had success at a lower level or at another school, and then they go to another school and they don't have that same success.
Right.
And I mean, it's not. We can sit and say that it's a home run in some form or fashion just because of the history or the background of the coach.
Mm.
But when you go to a different environment, and let's just say whoever you bring in, and they don't get the support. I mean, we're sitting here talking to Robbie. What if they don't get the support from the people that's want KP?
Well, Charlie, to your point,
same boat.
Well, Charlie, to your point, if I'm hearing what I just heard, and I play this for a potential coach, I as a potential candidate would be very concerned because it doesn't sound like I'm going to get the support coming in. Like it looks like I'm going to have to come in and not only win the job, but I'm going to have to win the alumni. I'm going to have to win the fans. I'm going to have to win. And then to some extent, you do have to do that regardless of, your hiring situation. But this feels like I'm listening to what he's saying. That's why I asked that question. I said, this doesn't feel like a hire. This feels like a fork in the road. Like either give us Kenny Payne or we revolt. So that would be, if I'm a candidate, I'd be a little concerned about that because I don't want to walk into a volatile. It's already a hard situation. I don't want it to walk into a volatile situation.
And it does kind of feel like, to be honest, that the players are trying to force the university's hand.
Yes.
And a lot of that stems from the way they've been treated over the years. I mean, honestly, Pitino wouldn't have anything to do with the former players. And then Mac didn't either. He wasn't as bad as Pitino, but they gave Mac more hell about it. I don't know why. I've asked Robbie that question. He's never really gave me. I've asked him straight up. I was like, Pitino didn't have anything to do with y'all. Why are y'all so mad at Mac? Asked him just like that. And,
right.
And he was like, oh well, but so some of it's years of frustration with that too, and they want their voice heard. And if it is KP, I wish him all success in the world because
listen, I'm gonna be honest with you.
Force the hand of the school.
I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's KP, I feel like he needs to start a prayer group because he's coming into a very tough circumstance. Because some of the stuff that Robbie was asking, he said, "Oh, he can fix, he can fix this, he can fix this, and he'll reignite the Breonna Taylor situation." Like, wait, that's not his job. That's not his job. His job is to win basketball games. So, listen. It's gonna be interesting.
I did hear him say that he's connected to some players,
yes,
that could help. Because when it's all said and done, you need playmakers.
Yeah.
You need good players. And that's what Louisville's had over the years. In Final Four runs and all the championships. You know, they've had some really solid players. And so it does pay to have someone that's connected to those types of players and that can bring them in. You know, with him being a college coach, with him being an NBA coach, you know, he's connected in a lot of ways. And that plays a lot into, you know, the recruits these days because they want, that's what everybody wants to do. They want to go to the next level, regardless if they're fit to go or not. They still want to have that, you know, have someone that's connected to be able to help them have a chance. And so I do believe that would be something with his history of being in college and also being in the pros, that would definitely sway some teammates' sons or grandsons, as you mentioned, you know, towards, you know, a school that's in a Power 5, you know, the ACC. And so, you know, that's what you should need to look at as well. And, you know, I think that's something I think gets thrown out a little bit. You know, when we start talking about all the other stuff, now you need somebody that can sway players to come and want to play for you. We sit and talk about Penny Hardaway, but Penny, I mean, he got some talented players sitting on the bench. I mean, they're young, but he has some of the top tier players playing for him, and is centered around, you know, his relationship with, you know, being in Memphis and also, you know, having an NBA pedigree. And so I just think that's something people throw out a little bit sometimes. Musselman is another good one. I mean, he has college and NBA pedigree as well. And so those are things I think, you know, a lot of times you people throw out or don't give credence to. But it's something that you should be looking at.
I go ahead.
Kenny, I mean, you know, Kenny was the lead recruiter for Kentucky under John Calipari.
Right.
And you see what that's brought. I mean, John Wall, Anthony Davis, Boogie Cousins, all of those guys are KP's recruits. So he's got an in when it comes to recruiting. And so, I mean, that's the biggest thing with him. I do kind of wonder, with him being out of the college game for a couple of years now, how that will affect everything. Probably won't. Okay. But, okay.
I'm with you, Kendrick. I think his recruiting is the least of my concerns. I think he's going to get the players he wants.
Yeah, because like obviously Penny's recruiting's fine.
Yeah.
Just got to worry about the X's and O's.
It's got to translate to wins at some point. Like that, it's all fine to have a top 5, top 3 recruiting class, but if you put it on the court and it doesn't do anything, what's the point of it, right? So we're in a very fascinating time. This interview has been an eye opener for me, to say the least.
When the players, the Kentucky players, when he was at UK, they all loved KP. KP was kind of the go between the players and Cal, and like watching Kentucky since he's been gone, you can see the difference. You can see the difference between the players and
quality.
And so, because he was kind of the go-between, and Kenny's got that smile, and so he's going to be he will be a great hire. I just hope that if it's not him, that
the support,
players will still support whoever it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we're at that time of our show where there is a opportunity for shout outs. So, gentlemen, gentlemen, do you have any shout outs? This other than Kenny Payne today, do we have any shout outs?
I have a shout out for one of my players.
Okay.
TJ Baker, who's a sophomore, had 29 points the other night.
Wow.
In a big win for us. We won 78-70. But he was big because the other team decided they wanted to take out one of our other guys who was one of our leading scorers. And we needed him to step up, and he stepped up very big. And so I was happy to see it. He's been playing well lately. And we need him to play well along with all the other guys. but it was just great to see him have success. And so I'm going to shout out TJ Baker. His name is Terrell Baker Jr. His dad played at Florida State as well.
Nice.
And so I was happy to see him step up and have a big game.
Okay. Shout out to TJ.
Seminoles, because that's one of my other favorite things that you do is shout out your
Seminoles. I was going to say, no Seminole shout out this week. What are we doing?
Your Seminoles.
My Seminoles.
We lost last night. At Clemson.
So, no, there's no Seminoles today.
However, the women did win the other night.
There you go. There you go. Where it was. So there you go. All right. Who are you shouting out?
Oh, I'm going to shout out a set of brothers I'm doing a story on. It's going to air later this week. Jack and Cole Edlin. They are a set of brothers that play for Male High School. Jack is a junior. Cole is in the 8th grade and is the 6th man on the number 1 team in the state.
Oh, wow.
They've got 2 8th grade. They got another 8th grader that starts, and this number 1 team in the state.
He's an 8th grader?
Yeah, they've got 2 8th graders. One starts and one's the first man off the bench.
Goodness gracious.
Jack and Cole, and so I've done stories. I've been doing stories on the 2 of them, especially the younger one, Cole. I did a story with Cole when he was 6 years old. And so he was at I was at a UK basketball camp with DeMarcus Cousins and Nerlens Noel and all those guys that come back, Michael Kidd Gilchrist. And I noticed Cole. And so I knew Cole's dad from high school, and he's 6 years old at the time. And he's out here cooking these little kids. He's crossing up, going behind his back, doing all this stuff, and can shoot, and 6 years old. And so I follow him around a little bit, and he's playing to the camera. And he's got on 1 pink sock and 1 white sock. And I said, Cole, what's up with your socks? He looks at me, 6 years old, deadpan, and goes, oh, that's just my swag.
That's just my swag. Oh, my goodness.
So Cole's in the 8th grade, and he still wears mismatched socks.
To this day, wow.
To this day. And he told me on camera that he got in trouble one time, and his punishment was he had to wear matching socks.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. and he cried.
Hey. Oh, my goodness.
But
that's hilarious.
And Jackie's older brother, Jack, he's just quiet, goes about his business, and will drop a cool 20 on you in a heartbeat. So,
wow.
So they're a fun family.
And they are anchoring the number 1 team in the state right now. The guy with the mismatched socks. How about that? That's amazing.
Eighth grade. He's in 8th grade, and his first true action was against Ballard, who was the number 1 team in the state at the time. In the semifinals of the LIT, biggest tournament in town, comes off the bench and drops 14.
Wow.
So he's not afraid of the spotlight either.
He is not afraid. So, wow. And that's his 8th grade.
Is that a private school?
No.
Traditional. No, it's like a traditional magnet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's impressive. That's really, really impressive. Well, I want to give the same shout out here that I gave last night on the 5. And that's simply to say, shout out to Brian Flores. Man, that's gutsy.
Mm-hmm.
It's gutsy to call out the establishment. It may not be long-term prudent, but maybe it's that type of thing that we need to create and produce the type of change that we all want and need to see. There's a beauty and a blessing in diversity, I think.
Hey, yeah. I agree 100% with that, and it needs to be called out. Mm-hmm. However, my man Brett Brown went through the same thing. I don't think it's a black or white issue. I think it's managerial ownership style, because in Philly, they tank for how many years?
Oh, trust the process. You're right.
Yeah. So,
You're right
I mean,
about that,
I think it's just something. Yes, I don't know about the money, which, yes, that would be totally off the rocker. But I just think from a organizational standpoint, some teams choose to take that route. And if you're the head coach at that time,
Yeah.
you either got to be with the plan or you can get out.
Yeah.
Or they'll let you out. Brett Brown, they let him out. I mean, he was there through the whole trusted process, and we're tanking and we're doing all things, and he was saying all the right things. They were doing the same thing. I don't know if he was getting paid for it to lose, but he ended up losing his job because there was another coach that was available or they felt was good for that situation. But those guys had grown up at that point.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I mean, it's just this whole notion. I appreciate Brian bringing it to the forefront, but this has been going on for, some years. And those organizations who do that, they have a plan as well. I mean, I don't – their plan is to try to get the best over a course of time, and then, hopefully they mature. But in this day and age, that's 1 out of every 10 that do that. Look at the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, they're heading to the Super Bowl this year. They won 4 games last year, and like 2 games the year before that. And then they had like 3 or 4 coaches before this coach.
Yeah, well, my shout out really for him was I kind of look at both of the issues kind of separately. Like the Miami thing is one thing, but the way and I say we being the Giants handled that situation was horrible. I mean, it was just absolutely horrible.
Part of that is just being a bad organization.
Yeah.
But the two of them and Miami, because like here's Miami firing a coach who gave them back-to-back winning seasons for the first time in 2 decades, and they fired him.
Right. And then here's the other part, and I shared a lot of this on the 5 last night, but you can't have the owner and the GM not on the same page. The owner is personally calling Brian Flores saying, "Hey man, it's your job to lose," but the GM who you just hired is saying, "I'm bringing in my own guy," and it's just bad management all the way around. So you can't.
I would say for Brian, I definitely appreciate him calling out because there is an issue that needs to be addressed. However, man, he better be glad he didn't take the job because if they're not on the same page, he's out in a couple of years. They find
it may have been a blessing in disguise. You're right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the Giants' job. I mean, not just because you're a Giants fan, Lloyd, but the Giants' job is set up to be fired in 2 years.
Well, until we get some real leadership, you're right. I mean, I can't argue with that. How could I argue with that? Like, so it revealed a lot about who the organization is, more so than anything else. And even if and I'll say it as boldly as I think it needs to be said, even if you aren't racist, it just comes across as racist because you're not doing things right. You just look dumb. You just didn't handle it right. So anyway, I just want to give him a shout out for that. So anyway, so much to discuss in sports right now because there's a lot going on. And I guess we just gave a big glowing endorsement to Kenny Payne today. So there you go.
I was wondering why Robbie didn't have a T-shirt.
Listen, that's probably next. It's probably
right.
A full-on campaign coming, I would say.
Embryonic stage.
Right. Baby steps, Charlie. It's baby steps.
Yeah, I'm surprised they hadn't gotten that far. It sounds like they're at the end of the road.
Listen, weather and some other things have been, it takes time, Charlie. It takes time. That is Charlie Ward over there. That's Kendrick Gaskins. This is Believe in the ACC. We'll do this all over again next week. You guys have a great, great weekend. We'll talk to you. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us